In a high-volume clinical facility, a resident's vital information is constantly in motion. Dozens of professionals make rapid, simultaneous observations, often without ever crossing paths. In these environments, the fragmentation of resident data across departmental silos is a primary threat to safety. Medical, behavioral, dietary, and activities teams all monitor the same resident, yet they document specific findings in isolation, keeping critical information locked within their own secure systems. Without a centralized processing architecture, individual risk factors remain disconnected. A medication change might conflict with a behavioral intervention, making proactive mitigation impossible. To address this, facilities deploy a comprehensive interdisciplinary risk mitigation protocol. This system is the subject of our analysis today. This diagram outlines the protocol's complete data workflow. Structurally, it functions as a funnel, driving diverse data inputs from the top layer down into a single processing hub, before fanning out into specific trackable output actions at the bottom. We will deconstruct this system from first principles, mapping exactly how raw clinical inputs are acquired, processed, and transformed into actionable directives. This workflow serves as a data routing architecture designed to synchronize clinical responses across a facility. Phase 1 is data acquisition. The system captures information through two distinct pathways, beginning with what is classified as Risk 1. Looking at the top left, Risk 1 occurs in a controlled environment, the initial intake assessment. Here, data flows linearly. The intake form establishes a chain of command, prompting the care plan coordinator to formulate a mitigation plan, routing it directly to the ward clerk. The ward clerk acts as a data entry bottleneck. Their function is to officially enter a new admin note into the central communication log, locking the intake plan into the system. A facility must also account for unpredictable post-admission hazards, categorized here as Risk 2. Risk 2 accounts for decentralized discovery. These are routine assessments, direct resident complaints, and day-to-day observations that happen anywhere in the facility at any time. Notice the structural alteration here. The workflow bypasses the ward clerk bottleneck. Any frontline staff member who observes a hazard inputs that data straight into the communication log themselves, ensuring a response to sudden clinical changes. A robust safety protocol captures both controlled intake paperwork and real-time hazards, driving both streams into the exact same logging system. This brings us to Phase 2, central processing. The segregated streams of Risk 1 and Risk 2 converge. This illustrates how raw data from intake clerks and dozens of floor staff is funneled into one unified ledger for review. Every morning during the AM staffing meeting, the care plan coordinator reads these new communication log entries aloud. The audience for that reading is the Interdisciplinary Team Steering Committee. The diagram shows the diverse roles forced into this cross-functional review. Under executive administrator oversight, the explicit purpose of these directors is to build a coordinated strategy. These directors bridge the gap between specializations. If the dietary team proposes a nutritional intervention, the medical director ensures it does not conflict with a newly prescribed medication. This engineered bottleneck prevents individual departments from executing isolated mitigation plans based on incomplete data. Once the central committee agrees on a strategy, we enter Phase 3, domain-specific tracking. Looking below, data is bifurcated to maintain record integrity. Behavioral components follow the left path to case managers, secured at their desks. Concurrently, medical components follow the right path to station nurses for specialized monitoring. This physical separation satisfies legal compliance and allows specialized staff to focus on their clinical domain. Architecting risk requires separating clinical tracking mechanisms behind departmental firewalls while pursuing the singular goal established by the committee. This leads to Phase 4, universal execution. If the complex tracking data is locked away at specialized desks, how do frontline staff know what to do? Horizontal pathways branch outward from the hub. The IDT issues a universal risk mitigation plan directly to frontline staff, frequently deployed as electronic alerts on point-of-care tablets. To eliminate role ambiguity on the floor, these alerts translate complex clinical strategy into explicit directives. The alert specifies the risk category, the specific mitigation plan, the designated responsible staff, the required follow-up dates, and the plan's current status. There is also an alternative output pathway reserved for when the committee identifies a structural problem with the facility itself, rather than an isolated resident risk. When this happens, the committee triggers a PIP charter. They deploy a dedicated performance improvement project team to investigate the system and resolve root cause errors. This dual output system addresses immediate hazards on the floor while using PIP charters to investigate root cause systemic vulnerabilities. A healthcare facility's safety is only as strong as its internal information pathways. This animation illustrates the journey of a single piece of data. It flows from a resident complaint into the central committee hub for synthesis and out to the frontline tablets. The protocol functions as a closed-loop data architecture. Forcing decentralized observations through a central, interdisciplinary bottleneck ensures that isolated hazards are caught, verified, and assigned clear accountability. This overarching structure ensures that every individual risk data point is carefully routed through a standardized verification process. In modern clinical environments, effective risk mitigation relies on the structural integrity of this communication flow.